Hello and welcome to the Wrestling Headlines WWE Raw review. The date is currently the 17th of February and it's, as you can tell, it's going to be a really great show. I'm evidently worn down. I was very self-conscious about how pale I'm looking. It's like, yeah. It's pay-per-view kind of like back to back where we've got NXT TakeOver, then we've got Elimination Chamber, and I can't remember if AEW Revolution's been pushed back a week or it got pushed back from something. Can't remember what, but still, yeah. For people who cover wrestling, especially British people, by the end of February, we're gonna look like crap. So the fact, it's freezing as well. So I've got a nice warm cup of tea, which I'm just holding because it's nice and warm. Yeah. Anyway, was Raw hot? Did it warm us up? It definitely gave us something. I'm not sure it was nice, happy, warm feelings. Yeah, it was an interesting Raw, I think it's fair to say. The go-home show for Elimination Chamber, the second show building for Elimination Chamber. They had 3 shows from the Rumble to build to this, and I've evidently not put enough stuff in my hair. I'm playing with it. I'm just going to let it fall. It's going to be what it is. Yeah. The Elimination Chamber is this Sunday. And it's the final Monday Night Raw building to the event. And last week they kind of set the stage. They announced a load of the matches. And this week they changed everything. Because it's weird. It's more like life kicked into play and they got unlucky. Rather than, what are we doing? I think only one match was a kind of logistic change or a logical change of we do need to alter something here. That's in the men's match, but the other matches are this isn't their fault really. That's that kind of bad circumstances falling into it. But the Tail Elimination Chamber, they had 3 weeks to build to it from the Rumble. They spent week 1 purely on celebrating the Rumble winners and didn't really focus at all on the Elimination Chamber. Week 2, oh crap, there's a pay-per-view next Sunday, better build to that. And then this week is, oh crap, change everything, make it a bit better. And I was SmackDown was solid, really, for me. That's last week, and I really feel like they built to Elimination Chamber. It's night and day. I kind of want to open with this because I do often quite get the comment of being the Tony Khan shill, but I think after watching TakeOver, it's just kind of is it all right, Tony, if we post positive columns about NXT? Is it all right? Can we still? We can still send the invoice, right? We can still send that over. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously because I cover Raw, so a lot of the time, because I don't cover AEW, it's Raw and NXT, and I don't do New Japan anymore either. That's also covered elsewhere, and so with me, when you hear my voice a lot, it's quite often associated with negativity because I'm covering Monday Night Raw, and it's kind of for me the counterpoint to it is SmackDown is flipping nailing it right now. I'm really, really enjoying the show. I felt like their portion of Elimination Chamber compared to Raw's is night and day. Just in the quality and the intrigue, just going into it as well. It's again, the quality feels night and day when you watch the shows as well. Each individual segment when you're watching Raw, it feels like a lot of it doesn't matter, or you have something at the end of a segment that made what you just watched not really matter, or when a twist happens, it disregards what you were just watching, so it felt like what you were just watching was a waste of time. SmackDown, you don't have those little issues. It's like they've thought it through. Where even though you quite often get you can tell it's still booked week to week every now and then it pops its head up. However, with Monday Night Raw, you really feel it, and it's every single week is what's going to continue, what's going to flow over, and this week was interesting. So it was kind of that. It's the booking week to week thing rearing its head, and the fan reaction to the announcement for the Elimination Chamber might have caused what happened this week to some degree. However, that's no explanation for the women's, and that's no explanation for I guess what might happen with the US Championship. When I say explanation, what I mean is there is legitimate other explanations which are completely out of their hands, and it's it happens sometimes. It's happened before with WWE where they've set up a pay-per-view and then I feel like they're quite lucky. Most of the time it will be a B pay-per-view. Obviously last year we had COVID with WrestleMania. But my point being, when they've had a completely scuppered card, the ones I can think of would be something like TLC or something like that, where it's never been a big main card like your SummerSlams, your Royal Rumbles, your Survivor Series, depending what decade you're noticing Survivor Series in, your WrestleManias. Like, there's never been any major issues with those ones. But yeah, Elimination Chamber is another one, like the TLCs. I think there's been Elimination Chambers in the past that have had the same issue. But here, this card has had 2 matches completely changed. One outright cancelled, one with just a competitor removed. And the Elimination Chamber match has seen The Miz withdraw for reasons. See, that's a weird one. So quite a few times on this show, I'm going to say, it's like, in reality, this is it's a great thing. Yeah, we can applaud it. Congratulations. Be that on storyline, not storyline, but like match card structure, realising I should probably make this a bit more intriguing or do something. Or like with Lacey Evans, like, congratulations to the mother-to-be. But also in terms of the story, but I've been presented. So it's two different responses. Like, it makes sense to do it, but the in-universe story I've been giving for it doesn't. It doesn't click, even though I'm fine. The only one of the 3 changes we've seen on Raw, and that is, it's not an announced change, but Keith Lee is absent and is looking like he's going to be pulled from Elimination Chamber, as alongside Lacey Evans, who revealed on the show that she was pregnant. We'll get to that. And then there's The Miz. So Keith Lee is in a kind of legitimate problem where last week with Bobby Lashley attacking him and beating him up, they can just say, and they covered it on commentary, that Keith Lee was injured from the attack by Bobby Lashley. So either he just doesn't turn up to Elimination Chamber because he got injured by Lashley and you do one-on-one with Riddle, or you do, or he's fine and he turns up. It doesn't really matter which one. Murray, Ric Flair. Well, shall we move on to Lacey Evans now? And then we'll do The Miz. I'll cover The Miz in detail kind of with it. I'll talk about Lacey. So, Lacey Evans. Right, here we go. As soon as I watched this, I was just like, oh, right, this is going to be an interesting one to cover. Because I've got 2 lines of thought on it, and I kind of talked about it briefly at the start. So, one was when I watched it as it happened. Like, as an in-universe thing, my gut reaction watching it then. And then I've got a second thought of when I found out Lacey Evans genuinely is pregnant. So it's 2, I have to give 2 different comments. I have to cover my butt. Or cover my arse, because I'm British. Can I say arse on YouTube? I've said it twice now. We'll find out. But yeah. So I guess with the first one, we're watching it in universe as it happened. My reaction at the time was, well, to put it lightly, a burst of laughter. Just like, what is this? Like, just a burst of laughter at what I thought was absolutely awful writing. It's just like, I mean, in canon, as the next story beat, for Lacey Evans to stop Charlotte Flair from attacking her and saying, you can't attack me because, and this insinuation is it's Rick's. She going, I'm pregnant. And I've seen WWE do it before where they've heavily insinuated, or sometimes even kind of done a side gag that there is a thing going on, only to later down the line like blame the fans for thinking that way. It's like, no, we're never going that route. It's like, you heavily insinuated. So I can't tell which way they're going to go with this. But in this bit, Lacey Evans heavily insinuating that the child is Rick's, and the whole point is, it seems the whole point of the angle is to piss off Charlotte Flair, who looks irate. Ric Flair's dancing, he's joyous, she's like, I'm a dad, call me daddy. He's doing all those dances. And then heavily insinuated that Ric Flair's the father. Like, it's not even, this isn't just fan theory, this is on the show, in your story, you have heavily insinuated that Ric Flair's the father. I mean, in terms of, if you use this style of storytelling in a show that wasn't wrestling, you would gather, oh, Rick's the dad, and you'd move on, like, type of thing. As in, with the actions of what I saw, Ric Flair is the dad. But as a story beat, that is awful. It's so bottom tier trash. It's just like all-time amazement in somehow making this Flair story worse and worse. Like, what the... it absolutely screams like early 2000s car crash TV. And I've complained before, because I'm somebody who, yes, I know, I'm right for wrestling headlines, and it's the type of comment to see all the time. Whenever I criticise WWE, it's another comment to see a lot of, oh, to do the Attitude Era, da-da-da. I didn't start watching until 2005. Update your update your stock phrases you use. I don't know. You can use TNA. There you go. I liked TNA back when I've tried to watch it recently. It's not aged particularly well. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, it's not good. It's the way to put it. And we're making a really good point in the comments. Well, actually, I'll bring this up. I might even just flat out read your comment. But yeah, noting that Lacey Evans' husband and daughter are canon in WWE because of the rivalry with Bayley last year. They are canon in the world. The child was ringside. So, is this not a whole... It's just like, just dump to the side. Just forget it ever happened that she's got a daughter and husband already. That's not part of the story. It's not relevant. It's, what's the phrase? It's... canon via convenience or convenient continuity. If it's not convenient, just drop it. This character, it didn't happen. So, again, this is why I'm falling more in love with AEW. It rewards you for the more time you put in, rather than it feeling like you're just getting punched in the stomach. It's just, why would I do this to myself? But still, but the second reaction is like, congratulations to Lacey Evans for the mother me. I mean, that's why there's two reactions. Like, congratulations in reality, because this is real life influencing a storyline where suddenly Lacey Evans got to be pulled, and they've just gone, well, why don't we just reveal that she's pregnant? Like, you are pregnant, so why not just reveal that? But also, Jesus Christ, it as a story beat, it is outstandingly bad. Again, the reason I went on the Attitude Era tangent, it screams early 2000s Attitude Era kind of mid-card story that they do. That this kind of stuff was there, but it was of its time. And one of my main complaints, the reason that I went on a side tangent of the kind of comments I get, is when I see like the type of comment where it's just, you just go back to the Attitude Era. Is that all you want? The Attitude Era? It's like, I've got no nostalgia for the Attitude Era. And I don't... Yes, it was a highly praised time, but for me, going back to it, there's a lot of bad, to put it polite. There's a lot of hot acts, and you especially feel it when you see the main event guys come out to absolutely massive pops. It's awesome to watch now, as somebody didn't start properly watching until the end of 2005. Massively missing the biggest period. But to see that, and then for me to watch this and go, this is exactly what I hated when I've tried to go back and try to watch the Attitude Era. It's the kind of stuff where I go, I remember this kind of, the tone of this kind of writing being on TV in the early 2000s when I was a kid. Like, I'd watch Viva La Bam or stuff. You had your car crash TV things, you had your, I was going to say soap operas, but that's not quite right. Where it's like, oh, Mamma Mia! She's pregnant, and my mama, and then they faint, and it fades to black, and what soap operas did I get? Why have I got random Spanish soap operas? But point being, it's the kind of writing of its era. WWE is still doing it. They haven't adapted, and it was like, well, this is the type of storyline that's worked in the past, let's do it now. The shock value of this reveal. It's awful. It's bad. It's bad writing. On top of a storyline that I'm already struggling to get into, or struggling to get behind or believe, or whatever, for like every participant involved. It's like it's a miscast play. So you're struggling to believe any of the characters. But really, again, when you get into the ring, everybody knows what they're doing. It's just, the talky bits, the bit where the match gets interrupted by the story. That's the bit that's not that great. It's one of the things where, because life is interrupted, they've gone, well, what do you do? Do we actually use this to advantage and use her actual pregnancy in the storyline? I don't have an issue with that per se. It's the fact the storyline was already shit. And this, as the next beat in that, just absolutely screamed early 2000s bollocks, really. That's fine. I started with arse, and then I've just said goodbye to monetization. Just as off it goes. I think it's first 5 minutes. He can't swear in the first 5. He definitely can't swear in the first 1. I think. Or at least definitely the first 30 seconds. If you show the F word first 30 seconds, gone. That's your monetization dead. But yeah, my point being, this is it's just crap. I know there will be people who will like it or defend it. For me, this is just, it's weird. The story beat is a really bad story beat. It just lowers the quality even further. But this is reality affecting a story that they were building, and seemingly it was going to be a massive program for WrestleMania that surely can't happen now. Like, is she going to have the child in 2 months? I saw somebody speculate she could bring back for WrestleMania. I was like, what, in 2 months? Like, really? Is she that far along? That can't be right. But she wrestled pretty viciously last week, as in like took a beating from Flair. It's not a. It's interesting. We can move on. Is I think, and the main point being that the match has now been cancelled at Elimination Chamber, so there will be no Asuka versus Lacey Evans, which makes all the sense in the world. I get no a great comment from Murray. I get no monetization like WWE workers get no bonuses. But did you see the tweet that WWE Korea's put out where they were hyping up like our workers get up to 50% off of merchandise? Oh, isn't that fantastic? And 30% off of additional promotions and championships. Aren't we a fantastic employer? It's just like, what is that's going to counteract the no bonuses news. You get 50% off of merchandise, guys. Like, aren't we great? It's like, you frozen bonuses. You're not getting any. That's not. That'll counteract it. That'll cheer them up. Oh yeah. So we're not getting any bonuses, but you can get 50% off a Mojo Rawley shirt. oh, that changes everything. Changes everything. Yeah. Anyway, it's. It's an interesting one. Also, a point. It's just come through, which kind of notes on it. Technically, WWE wrestlers aren't employees, so they cut. So the phrase of, "Oh, but you can buy your own shit for cheaper." No. They're not employees. They can't buy their own shit for cheaper. They have to pay full price. Like, no. Like, maybe they get, like, do they get their own merch sent to the house or something? It's like, no. Yeah, but they're not employees. They don't get employee benefits. They're not employees. They have to buy their crap. Like, yeah. Yeah. For me, that's like the perfect joke on the end of it all. It's like, yeah. You can buy it, the people who work at headquarters and the production crew, they can buy the shirts for 50% off. Not the wrestlers. No, they're not employees. They don't get the bonuses from. They don't get those additional quirks and things. No. Yeah. Anyway, so the final one to talk about, because Keith Lee's like a smaller one. That's something where it's like there's something up with him is all we know. It's health-wise, there's something up with him. And it could just be COVID, and it is another thing where if you have had COVID, because the key thing to remember about the test, and I don't really hear this talked about a lot in this world, but the test itself, the way that it's done, if it's the test that I'm thinking of, as if they are using the test that is used over here in the UK for football and things, the test isn't a be-all and end-all of do you have COVID or not. It shows whether you have had COVID with a 50% accuracy, if I'm right. If it's the same one that they use over here for the football. So it's not a be-all and end-all. It's got a 50% chance of... If you have had COVID, it's got a 50% chance of flagging it. Where if you're doing it every single day, then the likelihood improves of like the accuracy of it, because you're doing it so often, which obviously WWE, they will do it... I think they do it relatively often for Monday Night Raw. I don't know if it's just on the day off, you have to do it there. But... It wouldn't, and there is another thing with COVID where you may not have shown any symptoms, but then when you try and do something requiring energy and athleticism, like wrestling is, the shortness of breath will come up because it affects the lungs. So things like wrestling, where very, very physical sport, and if you're struggling to breathe, it could just be as minor as that. And I guess, like, especially if you're English or British, the best kind of I guess football team recording of that was Newcastle United when their entire team got COVID. Or there was an outbreak. I won't say that everybody got it, but they have very, very openly talked about how difficult it was to get back to peak fitness. And I can't remember what it was. There was a bodybuilder on Twitter, just one bloke. Maybe I won't use that one. It's like just a bloke on Twitter said he lifted weights, and a year later he's still struggling to breathe whilst doing it because of COVID. So that was the story. Point being, if there's something up with Keith Lee, there's a chance, because his wife tested positive, there's a chance that even though he didn't test positive, that doesn't mean he didn't have it, because of the way the test works. And there is a chance he had it, but it didn't flag up or whatever, and now he's feeling the kind of symptoms of it. Well, I guess struggling with the breathing or something whilst doing something physical is a symptom. Of course, all we know is Keith Lee has got something wrong with him. And immediately in my head, I know this additional information about COVID. I was like, is there a chance that's happened? Because his wife did have it. Is there a chance that Keith Lee actually did have it, but it didn't show any major symptoms until he tried to wrestle, and that's when it flagged up of, oh, he's actually struggling to keep up, maybe. No, or he's coming down with symptoms. Who knows? Who knows? He missed the Royal Rumble, which obviously sucks as well. That's the main point for me. Keith Lee missing the Rumble was huge. No follow-up to last year's amazing bit with him, Strowman and Lesnar. That was a fantastic bot. Anyway, yes. Lacey Evans. What the hell? Well, I say what the hell. In terms of like a character beat, but it is miraging reality with wrestling, which I don't hate that. I'm fine with that. Quite often, immediate reactions are, that was too far, you can't do that. And I'm like, no. Like, for me personally, wrestling's great when it tries to kind of when it goes to the line, it tries to step over just a little bit. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with Lacey Evans using her real life pregnancy if she's perfectly fine with doing so on the TV. However, it's just that as the next beat in the story, utter bollocks. So let's move on. Oh, also, one other thing as well, because there was a match first going into this. My favourite thing I realised, I was just writing my notes for this, was I noticed Lacey didn't take part at all, and then Flair and Asuka were wearing down Peyton Royce, and as soon as Lacey Evans got tagged in, she then goes to the outside, and just Flair's then trying to get at her. And she goes outside, no, you can't touch me, because I'm pregnant. And that's when they do the whole thing. And as soon as that happened, the woman got tagged in. The referee stops his count for Lacey's announcement. As she gives her announcement, they do the faces, Ric Flair does his dance, Lacey Evans' music plays. What about the match? The match is just forgotten about. It doesn't matter. I mean, that is, generally, it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, well, the past 5-10 minutes were a waste of time then. Which is my kind of, yes, it's setting up the reveal, but for the match to be completely forgotten about, I'd ring the bell, she lost the match, she's counted out. Or Peyton Royce is by herself or something. Go back to the match. And I'll praise later on in the show with the Gauntlet match where they did a side distraction thing, but then it immediately refocused on the match. It was the polar opposite to the Flair storyline. Which, again, I mean, so kudos to that later in the show, but here, completely forgotten about. The main point, yes, no contender. It's just, yeah. We'll also say, I watched the AEW women's Japanese division thing on the other side, and jumping from that to this was very jarring. It's fair to say. To see what the women were doing in that promotion, where you're seeing new talents really showcased, and personally, even though the production is really you can see immediately this is not for TV off the bat, but it is really good exposure for acts, and even though it's not absolutely massive TV, you're not getting over 100,000 for stuff like this, or at least you're not when it officially airs. I don't know what the numbers are now, but I think it peaked at 19,000 when I was watching it live. Because I'm mental, should have been asleep, but I'm watching Joshi wrestling because of AEW. So going from that, where I was really impressed with Benny, especially. That seemed to everybody was. To be fair, I felt like, in terms of getting acts over, AEW managed for me, for everybody who watched that Joshi wrestling thing, me especially, every new act all got over. Maybe not the one against Aja Khan because she was against Aja Khan, but you could see she just didn't get to showcase how great she is in that match because of the kind of opponent she was against. You're the one going up against the legend and the legend's going to win. There's not really much she can do there. But all of the three, they really, really impressed, and they kind of just got over by doing their stuff. And then I switch over to Monday Night Raw, and I'm just, it's what is this bollocks? What is it? Yeah. But my main point there being, the match is just forgotten about. There's no count, it just stops, her music plays, the segment ends. Is the match still going? It's just, this isn't the first time this happened in WWE. It happens quite often, Whereas, like, well, then this will happen in the match, and then we'll focus on this, and then the segment will end. And there's no one in the back just going, well, what about the match? And it feels like the kind of thing where in SmackDown that would be thought about. And it feels like they think about it, like it's maybe planned a little bit more. Doesn't mean it is. You get that impression. There aren't massive oversights like there are on Raw. Yeah. But the final big point to talk about was The Miz dropping out of the Elimination Chamber because he's Mr. Money in the Bank. He's already got a guaranteed WWE Championship match whenever he wants it. Why would he put himself through the Elimination Chamber? Immediately people on Twitter are like, well, because then you'd get a WWE Championship opportunity because it's a WWE Championship match without having to cash in the briefcase. So what if you could have won the Chamber? It's one of those things where, for me, it's like, does The Miz withdraw himself from the Elimination Chamber make any sense? And again, just like with the Lacey Evans thing, there's two things. There's the reality world and then there's the storyline world. In terms of The Miz as a character, for me, it's an especially out of left field like script change after he cut a normal like fiery Miz promo as he's announced for a pay-per-view about how he's going to win the Chamber last week. Now he's all passionate, fiery about making it no sense to take part. It's like massive character shift. What happened to change that? Just it's character continuity wise, it makes no sense. Money in the Bank holder wise, for me, it makes no sense. It's a free title opportunity without having to cash in. Why would you not take that? But pay-per-view match quality / intrigue wise, it makes all the sense in the world. So that's why there's two different feelings to it. Like, they just didn't make that fit in world. Like, honestly, it's a good script change. Like, the Chamber badly needed it, and Kofi's omission really was one of the standout critiques from almost every outlet I saw from last week. It's one of the things where it's like, oh, I'll point out that I noticed this, and then I see everybody else did. Oh, nothing unique at all. We all noticed it. But, like, just, another example for me in the difference of quality between Raw and SmackDown's like writing on display once more. Like, the rewrite was needed. Good changes are made with the Kofi replacement, but they had to be made in the first place. When you're watching Raw, you get that feeling of what you're watching could just likely to be changed the very next week. So in terms of the time investment and build, you kind of start again. It's like, well, that was a bit of a waste of time, kind of stuff. Also, Drew McIntyre was there as well. That's the other point for this Miz TV. Drew, character-wise, like, I liked the note of Miz using how quick the Scot was to headbutt him as a sign of the champion, like, feeling the Elimination Chamber pressure. Then we got to see it in contest action later in the show. Yeah, Drew's character, fine. Great continuity there. Really liked it. Both he and Sheamus are kind of feeling the anger a bit because they were expected to go one-on-one with each other, and it's kind of built and built. And it kind of refocused to them at the end of the show. I feel like the WWE Championship stuff on a whole, kind of nailing those characters around that scene. It's just, the Miz thing, it makes all the sense in the world from like a fan perspective of, well, do I care about this match? Because we're all saying it last week that the Men's Elimination Chamber match for Raw felt stale as hell. It was just like, well, there's nothing, and I don't care about any of these guys that Drew's defending the title against. But Kofi has got a storyline with Mustafa Ali all about the fact that Kofi replaced Mustafa Ali in the Elimination Chamber, then Kofi got that amazing run. Like, it is well known that Kofi Kingston just got Mustafa Ali's booking. And it worked to an absolute T, and Kofi with an absolutely fantastic moment with Kofi Mania. But the fact that they didn't even notice that was right in front of them, that's quite incredible. It's great to see that is now in the Chamber. I'm expecting Ali in some way. Actually, I'll jump to the match in a second between Miz and Kofi to kind of talk about that a bit more. But it's great to see that they're actually incorporating that storyline into a higher up match. Because again, Monday Night Raw at times has still got that big issue of passing ships where nobody interacts with each other, so it doesn't feel like a lived-in world. It does feel like a showcase of merch and characters at times. A showcase of this is your brand, this is your character, this is what you're currently doing to get everything over. It doesn't feel like a lived-in universe at times. Again, currently, proof WWE can do it. They're nailing that on SmackDown with just all the different interactions between all the characters. They're setting up their world really, really well. It's incredible. It's the same company that's making these two shows. It's night and day. Yeah. Other note, Jesus Christ, Drew can still launch a briefcase like an Olympic discus thrower. Bloody hell. I can't remember when he last did it, but once again, just bloody nailing it. Kudos to the man. Kudos to him. Right, I'm going to have a sip of some lukewarm tea from my New Day mug. Ooh. Sip. Lovely sip. So, makes sense. It's Kofi Kingston versus The Miz. I can drink tea from my New Day mug. It's relevant. So a nice little reminder that Miz really can go great when he's put with the right opponent. He really can be great. Thanks to his, at times, gratingly irritating tag run alongside Morrison. I'd almost forgotten how fantastic his time as Intercontinental Champion was. Back-to-back top-notch runs for me on SmackDown Live and then Raw in I forget the years right, 2017-18, I think that was. And yeah, yes, then the feud with Shane, followed by The Fiend, sending him back in time. And here we are. Anyway, I was saying earlier, this match saw a 100% much-needed change to the Elimination Chamber lineup. Really, it's incredible Kofi's story with Ali wasn't already leading to this. Again, passing ships, no interaction, even if blinding. Just a blinding thing that seemingly every single... Because again, I pointed it out on the show last week and I found out seemingly everybody pointed it out. It's just that Kofi's storyline with Ali is all about the Elimination Chamber. But they're in their mid-card story, so they're not in this match. Fantastic that this has been changed. Great stuff. But the only issue now being that because that storyline was so blatantly perfect fit to the Chamber, for me the absolute perfect note would be Ali costing his rival's spot in the Chamber to give him that taste of how he felt 2 years ago. That is fantastic. But now there's a bit of an issue with that for me because with them somehow not realising that story was right there, it may now feel a tad sudden with all the changes going in from the Go Home show already, then to add another matchup alteration during the card itself. It may just scream, don't know what we're doing, constant rewrites. But for me, that's it's such a perfect note. Would it negate the problem anyway? Is it not an issue? It may be fine regardless. Yeah. It's a chamber guaranteed for shenanigans with Autumn/Wyatt, more than likely to kick into WrestleMania gear during the thing. So why not go all in? Go in all shenanigans. The SmackDown chamber looks absolutely solid. The Raw one can be shenanigan nonsense. I'm fine with that. It's all right. Anyway, yeah. Kofi and Miz had a solid outing. Some nice aggression from the Money in the Bank man rather than the mid-card heel shenanigans we've come to see in his current Raw run. Arguably, for me, that's when Miz is at his best, when he's showing that aggression and that seriousness alongside some of the goofy characteristics that he has. Honestly, the comedy stuff with Morrison is very hit and miss. And it's either it's a little bit of a... or it's for God's sake, just end. it's one or the other. Two extremes. At the end of the day, he just doesn't feel like a title contender at all right now. He's Money in the Bank, and I'm just waiting for him to do his failed cash-in because I have no interest in seeing him as champion. And I don't know if that is because of the way that his act with Morrison has gone. I have no interest in Miz becoming champion. And if he does, I'm all for whoever was the previous champion just knocking him out again. Say at the Chamber, he does become WWE champion. Fastlane, Drew wins it back. Just, no, off you pop. That kind of stuff. Or he cashes in and loses it immediately on Raw or something. Just, you get it kind of done with. Him as champion. Or he just doesn't cash it in. The first person to never cash in the championship. And he gets to the next Money in the Bank and it's been a year. And, yeah. Do you go with that? And just null and void. It never got cashed in. Because of the whole kerfuffle with Otis and then Miz never cashed in. Could you do that? I don't know. All I can say is I don't have much interest in him cashing out now. This show was a much better showing for him because he got to show that aggression as well. The man targeting Kingston's knee, knowing how much of his offense uses the thing, and that then led into the gauntlet match later in the show as well. But after a quick spin and reversal into a Trouble in Paradise, none of that mattered one iota. So yeah. And then we got to the main event itself. And this is where I feel like now I'm just going to cover the main event. They're the 3 changes. It's taken me over half an hour. But I bloody got there. The main point for me with the Elimination Chamber is 2 of the changes can't be held. Lacey Evans versus Asuka is cancelled for absolutely obvious reasons, given that one of the competitors, it turns out, is pregnant. They found out after the recording of Raw last week. And this week, thought, well, we can't do the match now, obviously. And then Keith Lee's another one where reality coming in. And it can still do Lashley versus Riddle. It obviously doesn't have the same level of intrigue, given that you're kind of meant to be passing over to Lashley Lee to lead into WrestleMania, seemingly. Because it's the Hurt Business curse, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah, but yeah. The card itself, it's fine. Actually, I've realised I could, given that is the topic right now, I could go into detail on the Hurt Business before talking about the Gauntlet match. So it's anyway, an Elimination Chamber is a logistical change that definitely was needed to give you more of a reason to care about the Elimination Chamber match from Raw. But it's one that, in universe, character-wise, and all of that stuff, didn't actually make any sense. They didn't make it work with the world they set up or the characters they set up. It doesn't make any sense. But in terms of the match card and interest, makes all the sense in the world. And putting Kofi in there is the thing to do. So again, I think the positives outweigh the negatives in it. It was just like, maybe the way they did it wasn't super flowy. It was a little bit awkward. But they've ended up with the right thing in the end. So yeah. Anyway, the Hurt Business. So let's just get it out of the way. Brosif, Matt Riddle. Let's just see what the match was first. The Hurt Business was MVP Benjamin Alexander versus Matt Riddle and Lucha House Party. MVP's come out of this with an injured leg, so he's currently hobbling with the one leg right now. Hopefully he recovers, because that would suck. It would really suck for the Hurt Business not to get a massive, with all of them together in a massive WrestleMania moment. Even if, for me, if MVP's hurt, please, just walk out with them or something. They 100% deserve it to get that big WrestleMania kind of showcase. But Brosif, Matt Riddle, has faced Hurt Business members in consecutive weeks since November. Any chance there's time for a change? It's you're damn right. Time for Keith Lee to face the Hurt Business members every single week to the road to WrestleMania. It's the Hurt Business curse. From Apollo to Ricochet to New Day to Riddle, one at a time for months on end till you never want to see the pairing again. That's how you book the Hurt Business. Sometimes I think it's incredible that they're as over as they are and they feel as strong as a unit as they do, given whenever they do a feud, within a couple of weeks you're sick of seeing it and then they go on for months. Anyway, don't get me wrong. There's still a fantastic faction, and Bobby Lashley as US champion has been a well-protected high point for Raw for me. It's just a shame the method of booking is tiring at best. It's the kind way to put it. Would I be excited for Lashley versus Riddle? Nah, not particularly, given what you've shown me already. Am I totally understanding that you weren't meant to be doing Lashley versus Riddle, because it's meant to be Keith Lee in there as well, so it was a very different dynamic. Now you're just doing Lashley Riddle again. It's it's not much they could do there. Yeah, unless Lee is fit enough to be at Elimination Chamber, then no problems at all. The six-man on the show itself was a fine showing. Riddle getting a bro victory boost. Bro for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I'll make it as forced as the whole gags. It's going to happen. MVP taking the loss after the match broke down. So broke down into lads jumping at each other. That's right. If Raw isn't going to make you sick of it, I am. Riddle taking advantage to win with the Broton. That's the actual name of it. I'm not doing a bit. Lashley looking great in the end, though. Once again, with an unhinged attack on the babyfaces after they'd just been through a match. Once again, just like last week. And for me, I can totally buy that beatdown. For me, that's not a burial. That's a heel capitalising on the babyface that have just put everything into a match. And they're not at 100%, then you jump in and you destroy them. Because obviously you do. They're not at 100%. I feel like if you keep doing it, though, Riddle is just getting destroyed by Lashley 3 weeks in a row. So why do I care about him contesting for the title? He's getting destroyed every single week. What it does is, I guess, if you're destroying Riddle, that means you're not destroying Lee every week, I guess. He's getting out of it by having to be absent. It's working a treat by accident. Anyway, Bobby Lashley's the real dominant linchpin of the Hurt Business. You'd love to see it. But yes, so the gauntlet match. Let's talk about the gauntlet match. To go into the Elimination Chamber to decide who will be the final entrant in the WWE Championship Chamber match this Sunday. And yeah, the randomness of the Elimination Chamber emulated with this 1-by-1 run of competitors. And I really enjoy gauntlet matches. I like getting to see the run of it. Like I like the mystery of which one of them is going to be next, which one will get the advantage, what story are they telling. It's a match that sets up loads of foreshadowing for like the actual pay-per-view match that's coming. And if you have somebody survive multiple opponents, then that kind of gives them momentum as well. I guess the guy who survived the most was Drew McIntyre. The champion himself makes sense. Nice to see the champion does not enter 5th or 6th, which seems to be that's normally routine. More often than not, it will be one of the other guys in the match that gets the run. But no, I like that here. The way it worked was like everybody kind of fit in perfectly, and it was seemingly foreshadowing everybody's role in the Elimination Chamber. Like every single thing that happened here, like I can see this being like a mini kind of telling us what the chamber's going to be like a showcase of this is what the chamber will feel like dynamically with all these different wrestlers. Like, yeah. As a telly promotion for the pay-per-view, bang on. I mean, it's great. You nailed it. But yeah, so AJ Styles with Omos versus Kofi Kingston was the first pairing. First off, hey, I enjoyed AJ's silly little pre-match promo with Omos. Grits and M&Ms and all. It was like that doesn't sound nice. Also, I'm fine with Kofi not doing amazingly either. It was his second match of the night, with Miz having done decent damage to his knee earlier on, creating a perfect weak point for AJ and his calf crusher. Like he's not against the best opponent to go in with a bum knee. So, yeah, nice little flow from one match to the next, and you've given me a reason for Kofi to get beaten by a high quality opponent. Even if AJ doesn't feel like a title contender, we all know how great he is as a wrestler. So, yeah, this is also a pairing we've not really gotten to see. Like, they're two wrestlers who have been like same ocean, but always on different ships. Bringing back those ships. I've got to think of a different metaphor. A great spot with Omos too. I really like the Omos spots they've done so far. They've been patient with them. They've been smart, I think. Like Woods was taking the piss via the trombone after a successful Kofi just fall to the outside, and then the big lad just one-handed hoisted the man in the air and dumped him over the barricade. Like held him for ages before dumping him over the barricade. But the best part for me, all of that, you got almost then sent to the outside, so it's just AJ versus Kofi. Kofi was standing up to almost like, what are you doing? What is your problem? As he just chokeslams Xavier Woods over the barricade. And then when he's checking on Xavier Woods, that's a distraction for AJ Styles to just go and chop the knee. Like he chops and distracted Kofi's knee. Like that whole bit had a purpose that focused right back into the match. The polar opposite of the Flair segment. Just, yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. We were saying with the Charlotte Flair stuff where you got your shenanigan storyline thing that happens, and then the match just forgotten about. Doesn't even matter. Here, yes, there was a massive gauntlet going on, but my main point is there was the massive distraction, and incorporated into the whole thing happening was the next part of the match. Yeah. Just thought I'd applaud that. Anyway, yeah, Kofi lost. So, with all of that going on, he lost. And I was fine with him losing via that method. It was fine. Kind of setting up that Kofi, don't expect a performance like the last Elimination Chamber, but maybe expect shenanigans to cost cost Kofi. And maybe Mustafa Ali will kind of be there as well. AJ Styles then, sans Omos, took on the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. And the tone for this segment of the match was set with the Big Scott arriving in no-nonsense style and launching the Georgia Man across the ring. A nice little touch with the after break augmented reality graphic having whoever's been eliminated just grayed out. It's the lineup of all 6 men in the chamber, and then they just grayed out one by one whenever they came back from break of who had been eliminated. It's yeah, I like that. They're using augmented reality a bit smarter. I'm fine with them for returning from break, and then you've got these kind of augmented reality things to kind of reintroduce you to whatever's happening on the show. I am fine with that. I'm not as big on augmented reality like WrestleMania. again, they are improving with it. But when you put so much effort into an elaborate stage that looks fantastic, it's got all this stuff on it, then you just slap crappy 3D graphics over the top of it. I can't flipping see anything. That was like WrestleMania New Orleans, whichever number that was. I think that's 33. When they had that really fancy stage with a gigantic mask and it looked amazing. And then, especially like with Asuka versus Charlotte, then they just like had Asuka's like just crappy lines and masks in an augmented reality. It's like, you've put so much effort into this staging. I can't see any of it. And what you're showing me isn't that great quality. But here, I'm fine with it. There's purpose for it. I'm being given information. The augmented reality has a purpose. I mean, they've got better. With the Asuka thing in particular, there's no more lines. It is just the masks that are there. Again, with Raw as well, when it's the same staging every single week, it's not quite the same. But with WrestleMania, when they put so much effort into it, then I can't see it. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, Drew McIntyre launching AJ Styles, and this was another enjoyable match in this gauntlet as AJ showed his tenacity to fight on after Drew beat him down. Like, the man feels much more of a threat for the Chamber than he did beforehand. So, job well done there. Like, even if, I've not been convinced he's got a chance of genuinely winning, AJ Styles, he put in a decent showing here. He got made to look like a strong competitor. He faced Kofi first. Kofi put up a fight. Ultimately lost, but still put up a fight which drained energy from AJ. Then Drew McIntyre was absolutely no nonsense. And AJ Styles is still worn down a bit. A nice finish to this one too, with the fresher McIntyre having his wits about him to dodge and shove AJ into the ropes to set up the Claymore. And this match was draining enough, which meant that when Drew McIntyre goes into the subsequent matches, any one of them could beat him because of how much AJ Styles gave him. First up was Jeff Hardy. Wasn't him. After the pace slowed a little bit of a tad in the last match of this gauntlet, Hardy wasted no patience in jumping at the champion. Nailing the Whisper in the Wind in like under a minute was like a nice note of a pace increaser for this part of the match. Like, Hardy had the counters and reversals, the champion forced to rise to Jeffrey's speed of counter before the man's power could win out once more, getting the knees up in time to block the Swanton and following up with the Claymore. Drew McIntyre beats Jeff Hardy, because of course he does. Perfect little booking thing. Next up, time for weird booking thing. Randy Orton versus WWE champion Drew McIntyre. He and Drew were having a bit of a kerfuffle. Then it looks like he was wearing Drew down a tad more for Sheamus to go and capitalise in the end, like setting up Randy for Fiend shenanigans as well. Like, has this Sunday just been foreshadowed? Where Drew was being worn down a bit more for Sheamus to capitalise, and Randy is caught in Fiend shenanigans. This is what I meant by the kind of the run off this gauntlet. Felt like this is a taster of what's going to happen in the Chamber match. We may get a couple swerves and things, but I feel like overall the tone for each person in how they're presented felt like an absolutely fantastic advertisement for the Chamber match. Anyway, the two lads brawled for a tad, but there's not much to review here, with Randy getting countered out so quickly. Bliss appearing all over the Thunderdome screens, and WWE puts me like, how is she doing that? That's insane! And immediately just like, well, I'm assuming the producer pressed the button. It's not that complicated. Anyway, I'll get the nerdy head out of me. But yes, with he got counted out pretty quick, with Bliss appearing all over the Thunderdome on the screens, the one above the ring as well, and that's left Randy looking all over like, what? Oh, what? What's what? And then the ref just counts him out. That's how it goes. Again, kudos. In this match, a thing happens, person gets counted out. Again, kudos. They didn't just stop. Again, it is in the middle of a match, so it's what would you do in this match to stop giving away a thing? Here we go, shenanigans. But again, I feel like it's great foreshadowing for the Chamber, where this will be Randy's role. He will have a brawl with somebody, he'll get in moves, he may look a bit strong for a bit, but then what's going on? Creepy. Into WrestleMania against the Fiend you go. That is my assumption. And the final tone set is the big storyline one of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. Assumably, what's going to go into Fastlane. I don't know. I feel like Drew McIntyre deserves a massive match at WrestleMania, but does he just really want to fight his mate at WrestleMania and Sheamus? for those to have a big WrestleMania match, will that personally mean a lot to them compared to him having like a big match? The story was the rumor months ago was Drew McIntyre versus Lesnar versus a third party. I think the name at the time was Keith Lee. I'm assuming that's changed now, but it's he's been talked about having a big match against, the way WWE does big matches now is against a part-timer. I'm somebody who is more than ready for the current generation. This is why I wasn't massively hyped after Edge won, even though I can see in reality, in terms of like real life assessing of it, it's a fantastic story, Edge coming back and then being in such a condition to pull off what he did at the Rumble. However, in terms of, I guess, for me, intrigue of this current generation of WWE, the WWE men haven't had like their headline championship match. They haven't had one of this era. As in, it's always been Lesnar versus somebody, Goldberg versus somebody, Undertaker versus somebody. There hasn't been two top guys in this generation against each other in like one of the final matches of the show. It's just not happened. There hasn't been one. And again, the closest was Daniel Bryan again, and then he's somebody who's not got much left in him now. So this current generation, because that was 6-7 years ago. God, 2014 was 7 years ago. Yeah. So this current generation, they haven't had that moment, and I'm, as a viewer, I am ready for that to happen. But I know I'm not going to get it. As in, it's just the people on the fellow Brits on the right side of the pond always used to say, like, WrestleMania isn't what it was anymore, and maybe me holding on for that isn't what WrestleMania is. But I still watch it and I think, but the product desperately needs it. They desperately need to crown the current generation. Like, again, people said before, an absolute crime that there was never a Shield match at WrestleMania, as in like a triple threat. And I'm ready for a current generation championship match at WrestleMania, but I fully expect McIntyre Lesnar. That's the point I'm making. So I expect McIntyre Sheamus to happen at Fastlane, or not be for the title. And my ultimate worry, because surely they're doing Orton Fiend at WrestleMania, and they've now dropped Orton Edge, because my biggest worry was Orton Edge for the title. And immediately I'm just like, who cares? Like, it's the only guy Edge could beat, and they could be like, all right then. But I doesn't mean I'll care for the story. I'm really going in. Anyway, the match itself was Shamu getting his one-on-one match with Drew, but with the Scot having been through the gauntlet, it wasn't really much of a two-way bout. It wasn't an equal footing who is the best, let's go at it. It was, no, Sheamus is going to get some beatdown on him. The Irishman beating down the champion and making his statement ahead of Sunday. Again, fantastic tone setters for each individual character. And it's the fact as well that Drew McIntyre is up against the odds, which again was another one with him facing Hardy, with him facing Orton, with him facing Sheamus. And really is, for me, this was a great little taster of how great a full match between these two could be. And this is like how the telly wrestling should be. Like, give us a wee taster without giving it all away. Drew fought back, but Sheamus got his pin on the WWE champion with a bro kick as the other man was starting to amp his way back up. The gauntlet fatigue playing its part in another nice foreshadowing for some Sheamus and Drew fisticuffs. It's like, honestly, I expect the Chamber to again give us a taster for these two. Like, obviously more than we saw here, but again, not too much, as the two can then clash at a later pay-per-view. Be that Fastlane or, yes, WrestleMania. And that is my expectation for it. So, yeah, it's a weird one where I am relatively positive on what they did here with the gauntlet. It's the main thing of it. Again, it's because they didn't think it through. They kind of, again, it's rushed booking. It's in the moment of the week, not looking at all the pieces that you've got. Again, if you do it in advance, you've got the time to realise. But it's there and then, week to week, when I say day to day, I mean Monday to Monday, and it's evident when you watch the show. Maybe it's not that tight, but you know what I mean. They're writing it for that Monday. They don't then start doing the next one, which is weird. I don't get it. Or at least a few down the line. Like, why not? I don't understand why not. Anyway, but I felt like this gauntlet match was a fantastic setup. A great advertisement. What you use TV for, it was a perfect lead-in. Even if there's been no time for the build and they've changed it. They changed a fair bit of the card the second week. Anyway, after that, I'm assuming now with Asuka versus Lacey Evans now off, that the women's tag team championships will be on the show. So I've got that to talk about. Also, yes, Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is the 24/7 champion after pinning Akira Tozawa backstage. Punishment Martinez because I'm egging him on. Still a massive fan of Bad Bunny and I keep calling him Punishment Martinez. That's his indie name. Damian Priest. Yeah, I did pop for our truth calling him DP live on air because the other one was on Raw Talk with Charlie Caruso just repeating how much he likes DP. But for truth to, like, without context or really much notice, just say it. Commentary didn't pick up on it either. Nobody went, oh God, damn it, truth. he just said it as a segment and moved on with generic commentator reaction. But still, I really enjoyed the Damian Priest Bad Bunny pairing, and it's great to see the reports of apparently backstage people hiring Damian Priest, but for all I know, that's just another one of his TV work looks to be good, so you can probably bet on that. That's how you post it. You see that quite often. I don't know, I feel like something behind it. His pairing with Bad Bunny he's absolutely nailing it so far. He feels like charisma-wise as well backstage. Because my main point is in terms of like storytelling, in terms of like the way the characters hold themselves, Damian Priest easily feels like he's got enough charisma to hang with somebody like Bad Bunny. It doesn't feel like this is uncool wrestler just leeching off the mega superstar. So even though in reality that's the whole point of it, but with Bad Bunny being such a massive wrestling fan, it's a win-win for everybody. Apparently the Bad Bunny merch is just selling like crazy on the store, where it means they can just keep releasing new stuff and it's going to sell, which is win-win for everybody. Like, it's a win-win for Bad Bunny, it's a win-win for Damian Priest, who via Bad Bunny seemingly getting massive exposure and will get massively over via it as well. So yeah, I don't get the negatives about it. Like on the very website I do this for, Wrestling Headlines, there are interesting reactions to it. I don't get it. Don't get it all. Anyway, I'm getting close to 1 hour and I'm realising there's two more things for you to talk about. One, Alexa Bliss. So a lot of people talking about the carving she made on the ground with her sign to then apparently call in The Fiend. And just my immediate point is either that was a production oversight, they didn't realise they'd drawn the wrong shape, because that apparently the shape that she drew is all about protection. It's got absolutely nothing to do with summoning. So that is either a production thing where they just drew a shape they thought was related, that'll do, didn't really think about it, or they fully know, and because it's ambiguous, they can take in what the fans have kind of pointed out to them, and they can pretend they meant it all along because they didn't give any exposition on it. They just showed Alexa Bliss. I mean, for me, it's like, does it matter? Like, the entire point of the segment was the Fiend's coming back. It was essentially a Fiend returning promo. You do it in the Fiend way where it's a bit more ambiguous than that. Like, Bray's coming back, lads. Bray returns. It's not quite like that, but it is. It's more ambiguous. It fits the character. Does it really matter? I think I won't care next week. Do they really need to address it? I feel like it's one of those things where the answer's probably no. And final thing to talk about. Got one more match. Lana with Naomi versus Shayna Baszler with the Hole. It has consumed her. It is all it's all Nia has become. Sorry, not Nia. The Hole is what she is now. After watching Pete Dunne this weekend, I've talked about the match first. After watching Pete Dunne this weekend, it was nice to see Baszler showing just how fantastic at the joint manipulation she is too. I'm in the mood for it. So after that big showcase on Sunday, I don't want to forget to mention it either, but for watching this as well, or at least the last few weeks especially, since her return, Lana for me has been showing how much she really has improved, especially compared to just 1 year ago. You can tell the amount of work she's putting in. You see it on your TV box. You feel it watching her matches. Just want to point that out. Is she going to get 5-star classics to best in the world? No. But she's evidently putting in work and evidently getting better, so thought I'd applaud that. Anyway, Shayna won. Perfectly fine next note for this Shayna and Nia kind of art they're doing, as she successfully makes her opponent tap, whilst Nia's not. She's not making her opponent tap. She is now a hole. That is all she is. There. Anyway, that is everything blasted through. I've done it in under an hour. Well done me. Elimination Chamber is this Sunday, so I'll be live then. I don't have any plans for predictions. I might do a Twitch stream. I don't know. If I do, it'll be with Ash from the Wrestling Shorts channel, but he's currently working on his latest cartoon, so it depends on how that goes. So yeah, we've decided like for WrestleMania to make sure we definitely do it. We're gonna have to record it in advance, so we're not like on that final week. So we might not do a live thing for that, but that's the plan. Anyway, on that, I've been going live on Twitch at the Implications with the second S. That's a Twitter thing. Speaking of Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at the damn Implicat. And I may be live with Ash tomorrow on his Wrestling Shorts Twitch channel with some WWE 2K stuff, maybe to talk Elimination Chamber, but that all depends on how the animating's going, so it's 50-50 in the air. And I will be back on Thursday. I'm knackered. I've had 4 hours sleep after Sunday, went to bed at like 5:15, 5:30, and then last night I got about 4 hours. It's like the fact that I've had as much energy as I have for this show is incredible. But I go live at midnight my time as well. Yeah, I'm knackered. I'm going to sleep. Anyway, I'm live on Thursday with the NXT review, and I'll be live on Sunday with Aftershock once again. This time for the Elimination Chamber. The February run rolls on. This time into the Elimination Chamber, and I'll be doing that. I've plugged my Twitter, I've plugged my Twitch. I need to put my Twitch in my name. I remember one day. I've just entered a routine of what I do to set up the show, and I keep bloody forgetting. So I remember eventually. And with that, I think that I've time to bid you adieu. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, engaging in any form, be it liking, disliking, doesn't really matter. Follow me on Twitter, unfollow me on Twitter. Going to WrestlingHeadlines.com for all your latest wrestling news and whatnot. Also, Top Notch columns going up routinely as it is, and currently, seemingly all the columns are high on the Undisputed Era. So if you were hyped following Takeover, if you want to kind of re-engage yourself before NXT, go read one of the Undisputed columns on the Undisputed Era that's currently up right now. So yes, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to go to bed. My eyes are getting blurry. I need to do it. So with that, I bid you adieu. What did you make of Monday Night Raw? Are you excited for Elimination Chamber? Let me know in all the different methods, be it in comment form, be it on Twitter or whatever. And with that, I bid you adieu. Adios.